So, some date formatting. Some other preferences. I usually immediately take this number up to a higher number, just because 500 is not that many found items to return. So I usually immediately take that number up to 2,000 or 4,000, or depending on. It's just a setting that will help control the bandwidth of the websites that are installed on it. So if you're an ISP and you want to keep things controllable, you can keep this down to 2,000 or so, and that on today's computers that's usually a pretty good number. What else?
The question marks along the left edge of that pane also bring up a little help window.
Right.
So you can get some feedback. We won't cover all of these, obviously, but if you do have questions, take a look at those, because they're a lot of times you just have to spend time reading through what everything does. The other thing, too, is on the far left pane where the administration link is, you can also control-click and open in a new pane or tab or window, because this administration interface you probably use relatively often when you're developing. As we develop, we need to flush databases every now and then, clear the cache, and it helps to have quick access to this admin frame.
Right. And okay, so this is another ISP controlling bandwidth feature, maximum number of concurrent threads. You can set that to 10, 20 or something like that if you really want to keep control on the bandwidth that goes into WebDNA. WebDNA tries really hard, and it does really well on handling just about any sort of thing you can throw at it, but there are situations where an ISP can take benefit from these types of settings here.
Hey, Donovan, can you flush the cache on your browser?
Flush the cache?
Yeah, on the browser.
On the browser?
Yeah, because I think we actually do have the new graphics on this interface.
Oh, is that
I believe they're part of the install. I think you just have to do a flush cache on your web browser.
Well, I think the it's interesting. It's pulling up the old.
Yeah, I think it's just in your cache, though.
Well, where's that?
I think it's under
preferences.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
here we go. Sorry.
So let's see. Where would that be, Patrick?
I don't know. Under advanced. Clear history. There we go.
That's probably not it.
Probably not.
So
gotta be advanced. I'm gonna guess it's under that.
Where's advanced at? I'm missing it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's it. So clear cache.
And then if you click every time I view the page too, that'll keep everything kind of current.
Okay. Well,
now see if all.
There we go. Good job. Okay. Yeah, WebDNA. That's better.
And if you scroll down in that left pane too, that logo changed.
Okay. So getting back to preferences here. We have a couple fairly newer features. They enable pre-parse script and enable post-parse script. These automatically pull from your global's WebDNA directory by default, which is right here. So it's list files is looking in a directory within your globals. This is assigned to immediately take you to globals, the character. It's looking in a directory called function defs, and it's finding all files within that directory, and it's including these. And what they are pre-parse or post-parse scripts. It's any WebDNA that you want to run on every single page called before or after the page. So they're really kind of handy if you have a snippet of code that you use a lot. You can drop them you can drop in an include file right in that functions def directory, and turn this on to yes, and you have access to that snippet of code every time you load a page. I'm going to quickly, in the terminal, I'll show you where that's at, since I'm already, if I do a present working directory, I'm already in the executables directory. So I go to Web Catalog Engine, and you'll notice right here there's a globals directory. And I'm going to clear this. So here's the directory that code is calling. And if we look inside there, we see some initial default, an initial default include file, stock WebDNA.functions. If I just take a peek in that file, you notice it contains just WebDNA, just that you can use on every page. So just a factorial, just different. Any WebDNA you have here, you can just drop in this file, or you can create a new one right alongside this stock WebDNA functions. I usually drop a file in there called, Donovan Brook default.include or something like that. Just all the tools that I use on a day-to-day basis, I'll drop in a pre-parse script.
We're currently updating the support documents for some of the newer commands, and I know updating pre- and post-parse scripts is part of it. They're a very powerful part of what WebDNA is able to do.
There's some new features that we're going to provide some of that documentation that Patrick's
once we read
talking about. These were some remnant features that are new with the beta build, but Smith Micro implemented these. Okay, so some performance, again, just preferences, user preferences that are pretty self-explanatory. You can use that question mark on the left to learn more. And I usually keep this saved right for databases to yes, because it's just handy to have it doesn't really slow down performance, and it's handy to have that backup. It just protects it basically protects your WebDNA tables from corruption. And some more preferences. I'm not going to go through all these in detail because the question mark is there for you to use. I will look at this one. So there are with WebDNA you can use basically any suffix that you want. Here's the default suffixes. .html, of course, the most common, and for WebDNA, the most common are .tpl and .dna. But you can use any suffix that you want. There are two places. If you wanted to do .new suffix, you could use that. There are two places, though, that you have to enter this information in. One is here in the admin. Go down the bottom and hit Save Changes. And then also you have to get a little technical and go into your terminal again and go to the Apache config file, which is at in a Linux machine. In a Mac Intel machine, it's in etc Apache 2. And